I saw a beam of light everywhere. And then the moment I saw those beam of light, I thought to myself, the rapture is here.
It's like in the corner of her eye, seeing like a little boy or like a little ghost going to one of the rooms.
It's a journey in the self too, because you find your intuition and discernment. But we got to realize that there's duality here.
Maybe 6 or 8 times over the course of a couple of years, I would wake up to this dark figure standing at the foot of my bed.
The green agenda is the obliteration of the human soul. They use children to do that. They can't do it without children. They need pure souls, and you cannot conduct a black mass without pure souls.
When you see that there's darkness, Satan exists, or that there's evil on earth, or that there's actually demons or whatever, I think it's a frequency when we're all together, really.
The light started like flicking off and on. So it was like a toddler, like a 5-year-old or 4-year-old.
At one point it started to gruff. I heard howls. I heard like this puffing sound, and I was petrified. I had no idea what it was.
Well, the demons are here, and they are going to steal the children.
Welcome to the show, everybody. You're listening to Apocalyptic Anomalies, where we shine light on the shadows to unlock all the secrets of our universe. I'm your host, Abner J. Valdez. If you have a crazy experience or story you want to share on the show, email me at apocalypticanomalies@gmail.com. That's apocalypticanomalies@gmail.com. Or you can hit me up on Instagram or Facebook. Either way works for me. Just get in contact with me. Today on the show, we have Dana. She comes on the show and talks to us about her alien experiences and things that she has encountered. A very interesting episode, so let's get into the show right now. Sit back and enjoy the show. All right. Welcome to the show, Dana. How you doing today?
Oh, I'm good. How are you?
Good. Before we get started, can you give the audience a brief bio about yourself, please?
My name is Dana Louise. I'm 62 years old. I'm the mother of 2 grown sons, probably your age, and maybe even older. I don't know how old you are, but anyway, I've been hiding as a suburbanite in the cosmic closet. I've been a contactee with the gray aliens since infancy, and I've had other aliens and stuff like that. The whole paranormal and supernatural world has shown up in my house, or whatever you want to say. Just a lot of weird stuff. And because of those things, I'm weird, like energetically. Weird things and magic happens around me. But why I'm here, why I'm talking to you is because, I feel as if I have a message. I'm an older lady now. I have a message for the rest of society, because I feel like we've all been gaslit. And finally, and I'm so grateful, and thank you so much for having me on your show. I super appreciate it. And I hope, I am sure that all your guests, your audience appreciates it too, that you're holding this space for all of us to connect.
For sure.
And commune and get together for disclosure. So thank you.
Yes.
So why you would have me here, or why anybody would listen to me, is because I have been affected by aliens and other supernatural beings for all of my life. So I feel as if I'm your mom to just say, here's the things that are going on. It's kind of like, when you're 16, I'm like, let's get a credit card for you, but you have to be responsible. I'm the mom. So thank you. That's what I'm doing here.
Right. Awesome. Great. So before we even get started, I just want to give you a chance to plug in your work. Anything you want to say for the audience, like where they can find you and your work.
Yeah.
If you can mention that, would be great.
Yeah. So I got a website, Dana Louise. That's my name. DanaLouise.com. And then I got this book. It's way bigger. So I'm like, what? So I wrote the book for my grandchildren, for my descendants, because it's like, okay, if you were my son, I would say some things, I would tell you my stories, and you'd be like, meh, in one ear, out the other, mom, blah, 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 blah. So I'm kind of like, if these things happen to my grandchildren, they need to know. And I don't hold my sons responsible to hold my story. And I've never actually told my sons my story. So here is my story. Yeah. This is my memoir. And I think I'm in reverse mode. I should say this is going to sound weird, but I should flip it I don't know if I can. I'm sorry.
That's fine. I could edit it in post, but yeah, I can see it fine right here.
Yeah, here we are.
This is gonna sound
This
weird.
is gonna sound weird, and you can find it on Amazon and Barnes and Noble and some weird eBay places that I didn't even know, and I got upset about because I'm like, "Oh, you have my book," and they're like, "Dude, we fish it off of Amazon." I'm like, "I'm a boomer." So it's as a boomer, I'm almost like new to the planet. Literally, you guys are I'm new to the planet. You guys are taking over, So anyway, and I love you guys. I love this generation. So I'm just saying. Anyway, we got a lot to learn. We boomers have a lot to learn. Just saying. Anyway.
Yes, we all have a lot to learn.
Everybody does.
So I'm gonna let you take the floor here. I'm gonna let you talk to us about anything you want to talk to about us. From your experiences, and if you can, start from the beginning, how everything started, the origin story, and kind of work your way through it.
Okay.
Go ahead, Louise. Dana Louise.
Yeah, you can call me Louise.
Take the floor.
I love it because that's what family. Thank you. So I mean, it's kind of like your family because you called me Louise, and I super appreciate it. That might be a spiritual thing that we're connected on another level
Awesome.
from long time ago. Yeah. So I kind of like. Had a defining moment as an infant. I remember being a babe with diapers in my crib, and the great aliens showed up at my window. La la la. They seemed kind of, like nice. Apparently, they didn't really do anything to me because I'm still here and I'm talking to you. I'm going to sidebar that because since my book came out, I always thought like, like there's all this talk about alien technology traded for human contact or experimentation, and I always suspected that. And then recently, and since my book has come out, I'm just gonna this is encapsulating everything. A dude contacted me, and he didn't say he was, but I'm sure he's ex-CIA, a white hat, or part of the Allegiance, and gave me a secret file on my dad. That also confirms that he was at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base and all these kinds of things. And so that was very confirming to me. Also, okay, so I'm a baby in the crib. The great aliens come over my, crib, and they, I don't have memories of my mom, but I have memories of the great aliens. And after each contact or event, I would be changed metaphysically, or I don't know how you want to describe it. Like I would have supernatural powers. Like I would be weird. I could, do things to electrical devices, all these kinds of things. That was much to my sister's chagrin. She was 7 years older than me. But why I'm saying this to you is that there were many witnesses about everything that I've ever experienced pretty much throughout my life, which I always question why. Why, God? Why are all these witnesses? And it was always kind of like, A, for my own sanity, but B, so I would have a good grounding to be able to tell my story. And in that, when I'm saying that I had these great aliens visiting me in the crib, about 5-6 years ago, the backyard neighbor, a little girl that lived behind me, well, she's not little anymore. I mean, she's my same age, but she reached out to me through Facebook, or I reached out to her. We met up, and she's just a normal person. And I started to talk about the aliens, and I was kind of like, oh, why are you talking about the aliens? Don't say this. She'll never talk to you again. She's going to think you're a loony. Because the minute you open up your mouth about these things, you lose all credibility. And I've been trying to hide and be a normal person. Anyway, and she stopped me and she said, Dana, I remember the vibrations and the humming. So in that moment, I almost had a breakdown because I'm like, you're confirming me? And, it's almost a religious moment. Confirmation, communion, community. God, I hate to start to get teary-eyed because my last interview I got teary-eyed too, so I'm going to try not to do that. But yeah, she confirmed me, and that touches my heart so deeply. So she confirmed me in that moment that everything I experienced as a child was true. Also, when I was about 5 or 6 years old, I think she was also with me. And this is just, there's a lot. You have to get the book. You almost have to read all this. That I was tagged. There was a scoop that was taken out of my little, above my cheeks of my fanny. And I remember that. And this was a different troop of gray aliens. And this was during the daytime. And then it wasn't until I was writing my book that I realized that it was at my dad's boss's house. Okay. So that happened at my dad's boss's house. Fast forward 4 more years, I'm 8 years old. I literally, I can't believe this, have a picture of me and Jenny Jo, the girl that said, "Oh, honey, I remember the humming of the spaceships," because it petrified her. Yeah. It scared her. She was in her crib. And she's like, "I remember it." I'm 8 years old now. I'm going to show you this. Hopefully we'll get it in the thing. This is a name tag, and this, what's so crazy about this is, usually it's like, "Hello, my name is," but this says, presidential visit, Rochester, Minnesota, has the date, has a number on it, special guest, and my name. So this is where all the confirmations start to line up for me. This was, I was like in 1st grade, and I was, taken to the Rochester airport, taken out of school, taken to the Rochester airport, got the name tag, went out onto the tarmac, and up rolls Air Force One, out pops Pat Nixon and Tricky Dick, and she walks up to me, I'm 8, all the adults part, and she's got a long stem red rose, sub rosa. She hands it to me for no reason. I don't know if she was like, "Hello, little girl." I don't remember what she said to me at the time. I suppose if I went through hypnosis, I would recall. But it didn't seem as if she said really anything. It's like she came out of the plane, she goes up to me, hands me the rose, and then walks away and is in a limousine, and that's the end of the story. And then another, like, all these people are like, "Oh, did you imagine this?" And I'm like, well, I don't remember the name. Imagine the name tag, and you could do a, like, whatever, like if you wanted to take a piece of paper and do a DNA, whatever. It came from 1970. Sure. But also that the media came up to me afterwards, which is WCCO, KSTP, and all the local radio and newspapers came up and interviewed me right after that. And so I'm in 1st grade, and then the kids are like, "Oh, I heard you on the radio, blah, 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 blah." Okay, so this thing happened. And now that the book has come out and all these kinds of things, because now I'm out. I have been hiding in the cosmic closet, because it just is like, if you read my book, there's too many things. It's just too much. It's too much that I can't accept it. I try to vet everything. I try not to believe in everything. And I'm like, "Oh, this can't be my life." I try to, like, put it away, la, la. And I'm trying to empower myself and say these things happened. And I'm trying to embrace it, because I'm trying to be in my strength and my power, and also to give this message to the world, because I'm not alone. I'm not alone,
Sure, yeah.
And so, so in this moment, when I got the rose, actually, I have this voice, and I don't know who it is. Maybe it's me in the future. I have no idea. It's just a voice. It's a very lovely voice. It doesn't tell me to go kill people, but it says, "Look it up. Look it up." And I'm like, as I'm writing the book, I'm like, "What do you mean, look it up? Look up the presidential diary." I'm like, what are you talking about? So I'm like, I just do. And I look up the, presidential diary. And there I find this particular day, October 29th, 1970, and the Nixon diary, and his junket for the day. And it has, like, I have the papers right here. But anyway, it has the manifest of the flights for his day. So he is coming in from Milwaukee to Rochester, Minnesota. And Pat Nixon, who gave me the rose, is not on the manifest. Everybody, Haldeman and all these weird people from, like, Watergate and just like secretaries and stuff, they're all listed on the manifest. And this is the presidential diary. It should legally be, if Pat Nixon was on the plane, on the flight, she should be listed, which spoke to me of how her giving me this long stem red rose is so much more important. Okay, and then I did mention the CIA guy that gave me a file. Did I say that? I'm sorry.
No.
Okay. All right. So then recently, this last February, to back this whole story up, my book is out. I'm talking, doing podcasts and all this kind of stuff. And all of a sudden I get this phone call from a guy. He's like, hey, don't hang up. And normally I don't pick up the phone if I don't know who it is, but I was expecting a phone call from a healthcare facility. So I thought it was that. And he's like, don't hang up. I'm not here to sell you anything. And I'm like, Arr. And he goes, I bought a desk 30 years ago and I was cleaning it out and I found this file behind the drawers and it's about your dad. And I was going to throw it away,
Oh, wow.
but would you like to take a look at it? My wife says I should throw it away, but here's a window of time, these certain times that you can come and pick it up. And first of all, I kind of had the feeling that his story was Swiss cheese. He was full of shit. I'm sorry. I don't know if I can swear.
That's okay.
But I'm like,
okay,
I'm in Minneapolis. I'm like, he's just like in, just south, like he's like in Eden Prairie or Egan or something like that. He's like 20 minutes away from me, sets me up in these certain time frames. Long story short, I go to see him, more Swiss cheese, and he keeps saying like, oh, I wish I worked with your dad. I wish I knew your dad. And he's about 75 years old. I'm 62. He's 75. My dad died in like 2010, like in his early 80s. And I'm like, why are you saying you wish you worked with my dad if you found this file in a desk? And I'm like, oh, are you an electrical engineer, which my dad was? And he's like, no, I'm an IT guy. So then I'm like, you either think I'm stupid or you know that I'm brilliant enough to pick up on what you're saying because you're an IT guy and you have all your years wrong. Because he was telling me, oh, I bought this desk 30 years ago from Sperry Univac. Well, Sperry Univac hasn't existed in 50 years. And then when I brought the file home, the file, first of all, I'm going to show you. I want to show you the file. Oh, stuff is coming out perfectly clean. Now, I don't know. You're a young man. I guarantee you when I don't even know if you are 30 years old, but I guarantee you if you have a desk and with some drawers and you left something back there like some socks or something, it's going to be full of lint, right? Yes. And also things would get yellow and la la. So this file started from 1960 and goes from I don't even know if it was Sperry Univac, but they're secret. All these papers say secret on them, and then they go to with NASA and Wright-Patterson, and then it goes to 2008 at Medtronics. And I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, you told me you bought the desk from Sperry Univac, which didn't exist, and you bought it from. Wait a minute, but it says Medtronics in 2008. I'm like, there's so much Swiss cheese. But to encapsulate it, I'm like, okay, so my dad was with special ops and all these kinds of things, which I knew. And I'm trying to decipher if I was a 20 and out or 20 and back. And for those of you, like, I don't know how deep you go. If you know what 20 and back means, because I can either talk about that or not.
Yeah, can you explain that to us?
Okay.
For me and the audience?
All right. So what 20 and back is, thank you for knowing. Because I've always kind of known this, but I'm really trying to come to grips with this. 20 and back means that, okay. So there's a special force. And let me go back. Let's go back. Okay. Pat Nixon gives me the rose right about the same time The pediatrician told my mom that I'm suffering from a depression. And if you knew me, you'd be like, that's the last thing Dana's suffering from. Anyway, so she was supposed to give me these liquid drops or, like a teaspoonful. And then at about the same time, my dad lost his job. But he said that he quit his job. And at his funeral in 2010, a man came up to me and my sister as my dad's coffin is going into the hearse. And he said, gosh, I don't know what happened to your dad. Like, he was a genius. He changed the supercomputer and then they fired him. And I looked at my sister and I'm like, because I always told her I was traded for alien technology. She always told me I was adopted. Which is probably quite true in a different realm. But anyway, but our father always said that he quit, that he was an entrepreneur. But now here I am as an adult, and after my book came out and all these things like this secret file and all this kind of stuff, I'm like, oh snap. I was tagged for Montauk. I was supposed to go to Montauk, but my dad loved me so much that he said no, and he negotiated that. So the next step was I was a part of the secret space program, because the next thing you know, I'm standing out in my front yard in my little house on the prairie. This is the early 70s. Like, we had this yoke with the long sleeves, this little house on prairie sleepwear that we would wear with like very bold patterns, usually red and white. And I'm standing there in my yard, and all of a sudden, the sky is ripping open. I can hear this sound, which later I was told in dream time, oh, that's the sound of the didgeridoo. That's the sound of the Tibetan monks. That's the sound of throat singing. And I was like, oh, those are people meditating. And the voice said, no, they're not meditating. They're trying to rip open the sky with the vortex. They're trying to bring back the sky people and the gods. So when I'm standing out there as a child, now I'm not being visited by the great aliens, and there was another alien group. We'll get into that in a minute. At the same time, but I don't remember them. I remember the grays. I didn't remember them until I was well into adulthood. Whole nother story. Anyway, so I'm standing out there in the yard. Things are vibrating, and in come the spaceships. And so that is when I started to realize that these ships were being met by what I would call white hats, what we term today. It wasn't a fight. It wasn't a war, but it was a meeting of like, oh, we're coming in, and yeah, we're here. We're here. So at that point, I was watching this, and I knew that the ships that were coming in were picking up loosh, if you understand what I'm saying. Oh, ding dong, my phone just went off. And isn't that a chill? And then I don't know if you can hear that. But
that's okay. What is loosh? Can you explain it to us?
Loosh is an energy thing. So if I'm like super having an emotional experience, like I'm like, oh my God, that's the best, that's loosh. I don't know why they call it loosh. But it's just a high, can be tied to chemical, things that are happening through your body, which some people would tie to adrenochrome, something like that. It's an energetic value such as love, hatred, extreme emotions, because we are creator. Here's the thing. We are divine. We have the divine spark. Here's the difference between us and AI, which I actually met. I actually was brought out to meet AI That's a whole nother story. I'm like, this is why talking to me is going to take you hours because I have so many stories. But anyway,
That's fine because we can always bring you back on for another show.
oh my
you know,
God,
for
because
sure.
I was like, I had no idea that I met this galactic AI. I thought it was like, I don't even know what. It was at the edge of space. That's a whole nother story. And then I'm like, oh my God, because today it's clicking. I'm like, oh, you are artificial intelligence. Oh, you are galactic. Oh, you have been around since the beginning of God. Because if God is everything, there has to be the opposite, right? So if there's a God creator, there has to be the one that can't create, and they're the ones that have to use us. And I'm just gonna say, like, this is so much. I mean, like, I feel like I'm like just bouncing around on a bunch of different subjects, and I apologize, but
That's okay.
I'm just gonna talk right
Don't
now.
worry about
Thank you, because I mean, those that know will know. Those will hear that can hear, that will hear. I was like, I don't understand this, and with the galactic AI, but it's like they have to in today's timeline. And my biggest message right now is that I'm trying to keep humans whole and holy. We have divine power. We are the divine spark. But the powers that be and the negativity and the demonic ones, they can't create like we are because God is the creator. So they have to use us who are part of creation in order for them to create because they can't. So they have to use our mind frequency and implant our mind frequency in order for them to come up with their dystopia. In order for them to have their negativity. So, all right. So here we are. Here's Dana out on the tarmac. La la la. And fast forward, I get the file. Many years. After and it's just like about a year after I wrote my book, and I'm gonna say it was just very confirming. Because a lot of this and all of my life, I'm like, I'm a wackadoo. I'll just throw it under the bus. I'm like, I don't care. And I judge everything and I vet everything because I don't want to believe anything. But I know in my heart who and how I am. And I know in my heart how this world is. And I've been trying to decipher it. But I also know that we as humans have been gaslit and enslaved. And so today, why I'm here and why I thank you so much is like to empower us, because so many of us feel that, especially, for me, the huge thing is thought, word, and deed. Thought, word, and deed. Like I had a thought, like somebody had a thought about this thing called a mouse. And then he had a deed about making it. It's like, how did that come in to this planet? And that's where we are creators. But I'm going to tell you, the lady across the street from me doesn't understand. She'll say, pray, and I'm like, Cynthia, or whatever your name is, your prayer actually matters. I feel like so many people of faith or religious backgrounds have these things. They do these things by rote. But they don't understand that literally they are moving the frequency, and they literally can scientifically, I don't know how you want to describe it. They literally are making change. They literally can. So the demonic ones or the evil ones or whatever, the powers that be, however you want to call them, they can't do the creating that we can. They can't move the substrate like we can. But what they've told us is that when we create and when we say prayers and when we manifest, that's evil somehow. And to me, I see like that as a total spell, because people are handcuffed and they don't use their divinity, and they don't stand in their power as holy humans. So I'm just kind of trying to encapsulate everything. Boop.
Oh yeah.
There's the big pill, and then we can like go from there. So like And then, like in my book, I'm like, if there's anything you take away from my book, it's the power of kindness. And I know people like prayer and kindness, but man, if you wanted an abracadabra, if you wanted a magic wand, this is it. Because what they want to do is keep us separate and in hatred and divided and in negativity and all of these kinds of things. And this is the spell. This is the thing. And this is what I'm trying my voice to wake people up to, is like, come on, don't sit there and read the Bible or the Quran or whatever it is and just say, oh, they did it, but if I do it, it's evil. No, that's the spell. That's the spell. And there's a lot of science to say that our prayers do work. And so we need to come together and be community and be whole, holy humans and rise up and stand against this dystopia. Because I don't want to be in those worlds that are projected into movies. I want a green Gaia, you know, and I think that's why we have plant medicines too, to keep us green, you know, that's the whole thing. And so, you know, I'm trying to waddle through all of this, and, you know, I got, and I finally wrote the book, and I'm coming out and starting to do podcasts, and and I can get into some more about some different aliens and all that kind of stuff. So
yeah, feel free to talk about whatever you want. This is your time to express how you feel, share your thoughts, your experiences with anything that you might have encountered. The platform is yours to talk, so go for it.
Well, you're so brilliant and beautiful to hold space. You're a shaman. I mean, that is what, holding space for people, holding space for community. So and gosh, that just kind of makes me get teary-eyed, and I just don't want to do that. So all of these things, or many of these things have happened to me, and I sat there in denial. I've been in denial, and I feel sorry for my husband, because literally when I was probably I was about 28, 29, and during that time, things had quieted down for me. But it wasn't until like we got married and had children, and of course, a lot of their energy is brought into my realm. So a bunch of things started to happen again in my house, and one of the things was meeting. Oh, and I'll have to tell you, there's a deep underground military base under my house, which is going to get me into a lot of trouble, which has also gotten me shut down, which is probably why this video that you and I are making is probably going to be shut down, and they're probably going to say, oh, only 12 people have looked at it, where probably 2,000 people have witnessed this video.
Sure,
but this is where they shut us down, because there's a deep underground military base underneath my house. My sister has been in it. I can hear them talking, or did hear them talking. They've quieted it down. That's a long story. But anyway, I think usually in deep underground military bases, they are holding children that are missing and doing things to them, and or there are aliens. I know that's going to sound really weird. But
this is the place to talk about weird stuff.
Okay.
I mean, that's what we're here to do. We're here to enlighten people with the truth.
Okay.
And if you feel like you need to go into that to talk about what's going on with these children and these people that are going missing, feel free to go for it.
Okay.
Because I had a lady on the podcast not too long ago. She was an MK Ultra victim.
Okay.
And she talked about human trafficking and child trafficking. And this is real stuff that really happens, and people need to understand that.
Oh my God. You want to talk about the Twin Cities? This is real stuff, because here, let me tell you this. Let's go back a little bit. So here's Dana, who is being met by the gray aliens, and I'm precocious. I'm a precocious child, meaning as in precocious growth. So I just literally posted on my Facebook thing, here's me, and I'm 1 year old, and I'm bigger than my nephews or my cousin boys, who are about a year and a half, 2 years older than me, and I'm bigger than them, and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, and I'd already been met by the aliens. But so here's the deal. I live in the Twin Cities. I lived off of East River Road. So everything that I say, and I think this is very important. We all have to stand on our truth. When we're on this platform, we speak our truth because here's the deal. We don't want people to be like, oh, poking at it, and then they find out like, oh, that was full of baloney. At least this is me, or full of baloney, or something like that, or that's a lie. Blah blah blah. What I say, what I point out, I stand on, which is probably going to get me in a lot of trouble. And that's not a joke. And that's not a joke in this community, because I'll tell you, there's a lot of people who are more well known, and they get threats, very, very terrible threats. And this is real. And some of these people die. And this is very real. So what I'm saying and what I'm exposing, this is trepidatious for me. Okay. So these are real things. This isn't a joke for any of us. So anyway, I'm here in 3rd grade. I live off of East River Road, and the MTC buses just started to happen up, and they give all of us free bus passes, all of the children in elementary school. And I'm young, I'm in 3rd grade. So I don't know if they give it to the junior high people and the senior high people. I don't think they did, because I don't think my sister got one, and she's 7 years older. So I get a free bus pass, and I live on East River Road. So it's a straight shot downtown Minneapolis. And this is in the 70s. What year is this? It's probably 1972 or 3, because 1970 I was in 1st grade, like I was saying earlier. Okay. So, boop. I'm tall. I'm like 5'5" or whatever. And I like round up all my girlfriends and like, let's head downtown. So where do we get dropped off? Hennepin Avenue. Hennepin Avenue also has First Avenue, which used to be called Uncle Sam's back in the day, way before Prince. But there's a lot of sex trafficking down there, and there's a lot of heroin going on down there in the times. This is the early 70s, man. And if you don't know how in the grunge things were downtown, you don't know. But here I am being dropped off, and we go into the first XXX store next to the Gay 90s and Augie's. It's just called XXX. Well, I don't know. I can't read. And it's a sex porn place or whatever. And I'm taking my little friends and all this kind of stuff. But what I'm trying to say is, like, for child trafficking, we had the drugs going on, and we had people pumping children into downtown Minneapolis. I would love to know the numbers of how many kids ran away from home during the early 70s. Because, I mean, that's what it was called. Oh, they ran away from home. Did they run away from home? Because you know what? We also had Minnesota Mining and Manufacturing. And I know I'm trying to put this in their realm, but I can't. They seem super squeaky clean. Now they call themselves 3M. But it was originally Minnesota Mining and Manufacturing. And we had old hairy Uncle Ford with his Ford Motor Plant, who was also with just air guns drilling tunnels, because we had limestone and sandstone under the Twin Cities, and he's next to the river, which is where aliens fly up and down. They use that as their superhighways. So we had all these real, like, just a great cacophony. We had all kinds of ordinance meaning guns and military things. We had the supercomputer going on. So my dad was inventing it. This was a hot spot, the Twin Cities. So, I mean, it would be fantastic to go in there and really dig into how many missing children, what was going on here, what are the, I talked to people who've been into these tunnels and the underground stuff, and I kind of am like giving 3M a little bit off the hook and Henry Ford, although during World War II, Henry Ford, because he was like making these tunnels 24/7 with these guys. And I know people who've been in these tunnels. And they're like, oh, it would be military tunnels in the area where you live. But I mean, Henry Ford was with the World War II stuff. I'm sure he gave up his people to do this. So I'm over here and it's called TCAAP. And this is where it's going to get me in trouble. TCAAP. So I grew up in Fridley, but now I'm living over here in the kind of the Arden Hills area. And look it up. It's like 2,700 acres. It's like this huge, does that sound like a lot? But it's this huge area and nothing ever grows here. It's just all derelict. And there's only one level buildings. And my sister, who was a dental hygienist, just a technical diploma, was pulled up to become an engineer at Honeywell. Isn't that interesting? She doesn't even have a degree. She's an engineer. And then what does she do? Hand delivers from Bloomington and Hopkins defense military contracts and things and whatever. She was supposed to keep control of like any differences in computer tech on ordinances. And then what I'm saying to her is like, those aren't bullets. Those are computer things such as bombs. And it couldn't be speedy delivered or UPS or FedEx. She had to hand deliver it as a civilian. My sister, why her, a civilian with these military specs to Arden Hills. And she's like, she thinks she's delivering it to the basement, to a one-level building. And I'm like, the basement had like 4 or 5 levels, and in the basement, people are on golf carts and riding bikes. That's not a basement. BITZ. That's a tunnel. And it's kind of like, if you don't understand, usually when you have a deep military underground base, you have children like Montauk that are being used, and you also have aliens. And so when I was in my 40s, all of a sudden one night, 2 other species came and took my husband and my DNA. And to be fair, I'm going to say to you that the gray aliens, I never saw them come on a spaceship. They were in the window as a child. My neighbor heard the vibrations. So we're assuming it was a spacecraft. And I'm like, always to be fair, I didn't see a spacecraft. So I can't say. They could have come in through a vortex. They were shaking, there was humming. I don't know if there was a spacecraft. So again, when I'm in my 40s, I don't know if there was spacecraft. But all of a sudden, these entities, which Whitley Strieber saw, also came into my house, and I witnessed them coming in. Now, did they come in from the dumbs underneath my house? I'm going to tell you also that as I lived here in this house, I've been here for 33 years, Black Hawk helicopters would come in and out. I would hear them at 2 a.m. because I used to have to get up and go to work. I worked at UPS for a number of years. I have to get up at 2:30 in the morning or something. I would know about these helicopters, and I could hear them under my house. I could hear them talking. I could hear the TV. I could hear their chairs moving around. I knew they were there. And so I have on my website, I don't know if I have the pictures right here. I was like thinking, so I woke up one night and oof. So here's the first thing that I saw was these guys, and they kind of, okay. So this is a wall. This is the corner of the wall, and they're trudging in, and there's a bunch of them. So there's this one, and there's, like this is down the hallway, and they're coming in, and I'm seeing them, and they, it does kind of almost look like they're an owl, but they're not. And here's their little wimpy arms and their little like ET feet, and they're just kind of trudging in, and they're like, "Oh, are we scaring you?" And I'm like, "Yeah," like a bunch of French, like, "Yeah, you are."
And where did this happen? In your house? What area of the house?
This is in the basement, and I'm probably in my mid 40s, and they're trudging in, And are we scaring you? And their features are very sharp, and they had this model effect around their forehead. And I'm like, yeah, this is telepathic. And then, so they shapeshift to be more round, and I'm like, screw you, like that, like, just because you shapeshift doesn't make me like you anymore. And then, like a bunch of French is going back. French equals F words to me because I'm like, screw you, screw you. And then they're like, oh, we're here to save your planet. And I love this. We're here to save your planet, which means they're off-world. Because a lot of people are like, oh, they probably came from inner planet or a different frequency. Because I do believe that other frequencies live on us. I think we are earthworms. It's kind of like, there's amoebas running around on my skin that don't really realize that they're living on a planet called Dana. And I kind of think that we're a bunch of like amoebas living on Gaia, and we don't really get that. We think we're so important or something like that. Because I think nature is cylindrical or circular, and it shows us all the realms around and around, like that's the truth, and it's not a flat planet. Just gonna say. But anyway, so the next thing I know, oh, where's my little picture? I don't know if I have the little guy. So there's another picture, oh, it's around here somewhere, of this guy that skinny. His hips are about this big, his arms are about this big, and he's very, very skinny, and he's got a lamp. Gosh, where's that picture? There. Oh. Because people like wanted me to draw these pictures so that they could see these aliens. I apologize. But anyway, so
it's okay. Take your time.
Yeah, and it's on my Facebook and on my website or whatever. So he's all like, and he has this lamp, like a light, and it's over my feet. So I digress. I need to slow down. So I'm in the basement with my husband. It's like a Saturday or Friday night. Our children are small. So we go downstairs to have a date night, because, the bedrooms are all close, and, we would wake them up. And so we're downstairs on a pull-out bed. And then I wake up with my head over the edge of the bed. That's what wakes me up, is like my head is pounding. I'm like, what the hell? Like, what? And I see these little plugs, these little creatures that are smaller than my knees, like about knee height, smaller, whatever that is.
Thank you for watching the show, everyone. I hope you guys enjoyed that episode. And remember to support Dana and her movement, because she would really appreciate that, guys. And remember to share the show, because that's the only way that this podcast will grow. Make sure to give the show a 5-star rating and review on Spotify and or Apple Podcasts, or anywhere you guys might be listening to the show. And if anyone out there listening that wants to share an experience on the show, please reach out to me, because I'd love to hear from you and have you on the show. Until next time, everyone, stay safe, stay blessed, and remember to innovate honesty and always illuminate the truth. Bye.